This your homegirl, Arabia Barbosa. 914, which is the county of New York. I'm just simply asking a question. Why do these black parents, whether they're adoptive or biological parents, why do they feel it necessary to whoop their children? And I don't mean no harm, but when slavery happened in this country, the slave master, what he used to do was whoop his slaves with a whoop, with a tree branch, a tree branch. And they used to strip these slaves out of their clothes. The same thing the black parents do. Why do y'all do that? Why do you feel it necessary to hurt your own children? You're passing down something that happened during slavery in this fucking country. Even the Native Americans do it when they beat their children. What good is gonna come from you beating your child with a switch? I call it a tree branch, because a lot of you like to bring tree branches into your house, like to bring rods into your house, all kinds of stuff in your house so you can beat your children. There is even on record women that have these tree branches and they beat a 1 year old. They beat a 6 month old. They beat a 2 month old. What is wrong with the black community? The child is crying too much. The child wants your attention. So you find it necessary to beat the child. What the fuck is going on? The fuck is going on? A lot of people don't want to touch on this subject. But this is what's going on in the black community. Why are you beating your children? Why? And sometimes some of you bitches start beating the children at 2 months old, 3 months old, 18 months old, 2 years old, three, especially when you're potty training the child. What the fuck is going on with you dumbass bitches? You're not showing the child no love. Anytime somebody, and this is why domestic violence is going on. This is why murders are going on in our black community, because these parents, these grandparents, whoever they are, say, well, if the child question certain stuff, the child is questioning you. They're not giving you back talk. They're not sassing you. The fuck is wrong with you? The fuck is wrong with these black parents? I'm not talking about white parents. Fuck the white people right now. We ain't worried about what white people are doing. But white people been doing this in this country for years. When they got their slaves, they branded them. Slaves did not work hard enough, did not do this, did not show up on time. They would beat them with a whip, with a tree branch, strip them down naked. What was the purpose of that? What was the purpose? Nobody has ever said, nobody's going to talk against this. Nobody is going to speak up against black parents whooping their child. They think it's discipline. It's actually abuse. It's actually replaying what happened in slavery. Because when we was in Africa or the Middle East, those parents did not beat their children. When you go to certain parts of Asia, they don't beat their children. Some place, everywhere that white man went, they beat. They used to beat their own people, strip them down naked, whip them publicly with a whip, with rods, branding them in public, putting boxes on their head and locking the boxes on. A shout out to the chat. This is your homegirl Arabia Barbosa. I just want to know what the fuck is going on with the child abuse cases. I ain't worried about what else is going on in the world. I don't give a fuck what's going on in the rest of the world. I want to know why some of these black parents, I'm not talking about no other race, black parents in this country decide to beat their children with belts, paddles, rulers, rods, extension cords. Why do you want to beat your children like they are slaves on a plantation somewhere? And this is why a lot of our young people are angry. This is why a lot of our young people are pissed off with the world because of how their parents treated them, how the parents disciplined them. You don't gotta whoop the child. You ain't gotta beat them. Some people say, well, just take the phone. Some people say, put them on punishment for at least a month. Or tell them to do extra chores around the house. When you do your cleaning, your spring cleaning, your winter cleaning, send the children out, take down the drapes, take down the curtains, take them to wherever they need to take them to get washed, clean, whatever. Teach your children how to clean the house, how to read a fucking book. And a lot of our children, a lot of our black children, I noticed this about them. They love to look at those video games. The video games are not going to help you in life. They're not. But neither are the beatings that these black parents are doing to their own children. It was done to you. It was done to your grandparents. It was done to your great grandparents in this country. Where does it come from? It comes from slavery. The slave master was not in love with his slaves. He was not in love with none of them. He hated them. He wanted them to work 24/7. If somebody had enough nerve to run away from that plantation and go somewhere else and be free for a little while, you know what happened? When the slave master found out where their slave was at, they would send the dogs, they would tie up the slave, they would take them back to the place of the plantation. They would either hang them or whoop them. And God, Lord have mercy, if they didn't have a slave pass to go somewhere. If you had a slave pass, the same thing as having a state ID or a driver's license. We are all slaves. A shout out to the chat. This is your hunger, Arabia Barbosa, talking about a real subject. Nobody else want to talk about. Nobody else want to touch on. Why do black parents abuse their own offspring? Why do they want to kill them? Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the motherfucking chat. We hear different stories about different race, ethnic, background people that kill children, that beat children, that starve the children out. But I'm talking about the black community. The fuck is wrong with you niggas? You go to church every Sunday. Some of you are seven day Adventists. Some of you are Jehovah Witness. You should know better. You should know better. Let me tell you something. When I met my biological father years ago, he told me how my grandfather used to discipline him. Strip him at He was stripping my father out of clothes. Way before my father was even 3 years old, beating him with a extension cord. Beating my father with a fucking extension cord on his naked skin. And a lot of you bitches do the same thing to y'all children. Why do y'all do it? It's passed down from generations of slavery and Jim Crow. A lot of people going to disagree with me. Oh, with Arabia, black parents don't hate it. Yes, you do. You do hate your children. You hate yourself. You hate the fact that you even got pregnant and even had the child. Why? A lot of you black motherfuckers, especially a lot of you black females, you get pregnant, right? You don't want the pregnancy to keep going on, keep going on. So you go to the doctor, you try to get an abortion. A lot of you bitches using abortion as birth control. Back in my day, a lot of the bitches, what they used to do for birth control, and when they had the little children that didn't want, what they used to do, put them in a trash can, put them in a dumpster, kill them, as they being born. The mother would hear the child cry and kill it, bury the child somewhere, or just throw it in a trash bag somewhere. This country is filled up with blood, innocent blood. I'm not talking about blood during the Civil War. I'm not talking about blood around World War One or World War Two or the Korean War or the Vietnam War. I'm talking about domestic blood. And I see a lot of my YouTube creators don't talk about that. They don't talk about the little babies being born and being put in trash cans. They don't talk about the little babies being born and put in a dumpster. They don't talk about the children. Sometimes they get abandoned at the police station or fire station or hospital. A lot of bitches, when they have children they don't want, usually what they do, they get up the next day, they clean themselves off, and guess what they do? They walk out the door and leave the baby in the fucking hospital. Because they know if they leave the baby in the hospital, the baby will be safe. The baby will be raised up. But how many of these babies that you abandoned in the church or in the hospital or at the police station or the fire station, how many of those babies actually make it to 18 years old? How many? Not too many. Shout out to the chat. The black community, you need to do better. You need to do better about birth control. And when I say birth control, I'm not talking about taking a pill. I'm not talking about putting on a condom. I'm not talking about putting on a wet dam over your mouth and sucking somebody's body parts. When I'm talking about birth control is if you have a child, you don't want them, don't throw them to the wind. If you need to, give them to the system. But the system ain't no better than you. Because a lot of them sons of bitches, a lot of them bitches take the children for the money. They don't give a fuck about those children. They don't care if the children live or die. Shout out to the chat. I'm just saying, that's reality as far as I see it. Shout out to the chat. It is what it is. I don't see no other YouTuber talking about it. Not in this sector, not no other sectors. The sexual orientation of someone is nobody's business. If a child is produced, and you know the mother and the father are unprepared, unequipped. A lot of the grandparents, they love their children. When they see little grandchildren, they are, you know, laughing and giggling and want their grandchildren around them. They protect the grandchildren better than the parents did. Better than the parents did. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the grandparents that raised their own grandchildren and great grandchildren. A lot of you grandmothers are raising not only your grandchildren, you're raising your great grandchildren. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about how the great grandparents are raising not only their grandchildren, but they're raising their great grands. And the black community don't see nothing wrong with that. You don't speak of, the only time the black community in this sector talks about anything is they gossip. They dox people. What the fuck satisfaction you gonna get by doxing someone? That is stupid. That is stupid as fuck. I don't care if they dox you in the beginning. You don't have to dox them. Two wrongs don't make a fucking right. Shout out to the chat. I'm out of here. But my YouTube creators, shout out to you. My subscribers, shout out to you. My moderators, shout out to you. Those that are not here will catch the playback. Like and share the video, please. I'm talking to my moderators. I'm talking to people that subscribe to me. Like and share the video. Because you know what I'm saying is the fucking truth. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the motherfucking chat. I'm out of here. I am your homegirl, Arabia Barbosa. I am the BT1000. I was not born. I was fucking created. I was fucking created. Shout out to the chat. Lucy the Vampire, aka Lucy the Vampire. That means I get up late at night to find me something to eat. Shout out to the chat. AKA the German Shepherd in the room. The German Shepherd is basically the wolf spirit in the room. Very protective, rides in packs, but they are very independent thinkers. Shout out to the chat. I'm out of here. If y'all don't understand what I'm saying, lo siento, no escuela es mío. Estoy donde nada nunca se pasa. Nini kuzimo kila wakati. Kuja na mimi kula jakula mije baridi. It is what the fuck it is. Out of here.